out, just pull out your snack. Yes. Okay, we're gonna put that up.
So that's why I brought it. Because yesterday, it was really messing with my eyes and
Can you tell me about it later so we can get started in reading? I know about your eye drop.
really close. Oh yeah, listen. I could not see anything right. So there's something.
Now we have the highest pollen count right now.
I was crying.
I know.
All
Alright, thank you to those that have their books out. Make sure you have your brochure out as well. Tina, take your privacy folder down, please. I believe everybody has their own book now, which is so exciting. Alright. We are on day 5 of A Wolf Called Wander. What was the big significant event that happened in the last chapter, Camilla?
The most significant thing was
Swift found Worm. Isn't that so exciting? He found him. How is Worm doing? How is Worm doing, Eden?
Not good.
Not good.
He has scratches that are worse than us.
Yeah, so he has scratches all up his back, right? Have we found out what the scratches are from?
No.
So we'll see if we do.
Wait, I have a theory.
I have a theory, Liam.
I swear I have not read the book. I think he failed his mission to protect the pups. I think one of the other white wolves found him.
No.
And then he just managed to get away.
Okay, so you think one of the rival,
Either they
Pups.
killed the pups or they raised them after.
you think one of the rival wolves actually hunted them down? All right, yes, Kara?
So, you know how the coyotes were eating like that dead,
Uh-huh.
dead
Yeah, coyote, uh-huh.
Swift doesn't know if it's a coyote. So, if Worm was close to you and he had the pups with him, one of the pups could have got killed.
I don't know. We'll have to find out. All right. 3 new vocabulary words for us. We have rigid, agony, and tempted. Rigid means that something is stiff or it's not flexible, like you can't bend it. And that can be like a physical thing, like think like a piece of wood, right? Or a book that's not going to bend. Or it can be like a rule or something not tangible, right? So my example sentence is a rigid rule in my house is that we cannot have dessert before dinner. That means that no matter what, that rule, my mama's not bending that rule. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. And my non-example sentence is the rigid spaghetti noodles flopped into my bowl. How bendy and wobbly are spaghetti noodles when they're cooked?
Well,
When they're cooked. When they're cooked. When they're cooked. I'm talking about when they're cooked. All right. They just flop around in your bowl and they're just, they're not very stiff, right? I know that not cooked spaghetti noodles are, but anyways. All right. Agony. So we talked about agonizing a couple of days ago. Agony is like the noun for agonizing. All right. And so it just is intense pain. And my example sentence is she cried out in agony when she twisted her ankle. All right, so agony is a noun in that sentence instead of it being a verb. All right, yes, Liam.
I'm not sure someone could do that. I twist my ankle every single day. Might even
It's just
both
an
my
example
ankles.
sentence. Just an example sentence. All right, and then my non-example sentence is I was in agony when my baseball team won the state championship. Are you going to be in agony if you win the state championship? No, you're going to be excited. It's going to be a good thing. You're not going to be in pain. All right. Handsome. And my last vocab word for you guys is tempted. So it's wanting to do something even though you probably shouldn't, right? So my example sentence is I was tempted to take another piece of candy, but I decided not to. So I thought about doing it even though I know I shouldn't, but I ended up not doing it. right? And then my non-example sentence is he was tempted to finish his homework. I'm not sure why it says her, my fault. He was tempted to finish his homework because he loved doing it. Now, does that make a whole lot of sense? No. Because if he loves doing it, right, it probably is something he should be doing, you know? You're not going to be tempted to do something that you love doing. Does that
Why
make
do
sense?
you love eating candy?
Raise your hand, please, Sky.
If tempted didn't mean, if tempted didn't have the last part, even if you probably shouldn't, it would work.
Well, yeah, but tempted is doing something, wanting to do something even though you shouldn't. All right. Yes, Ignacia.
Why did you love eating candy?
What do you mean?
Like, because it's like when you said when you love if you love doing something, it's probably not something. But what happens?
Well, in this sentence, it's like saying that you already got one piece of candy, and then it's like you're only allowed to take one piece of candy, and you thought about taking another one,
Like for Halloween.
but decide, yes, exactly.
Bro, I
Thank you.
swear
So,
on those
shh, Liam, please. Please. Yes, Kyla.
So, for agony,
Uh-huh.
we could have put this as an example. I was in agony when I lost the basketball game.
That's a perfect example sentence. All right. Today's focus is going to be on conflict. All right, so conflict is like a disagreement or a problem or a struggle that a character or a group of characters might face throughout a story. All right, and conflict is what drives your story forward and makes it interesting and makes you want to keep reading more to find out how that conflict is going to get resolved. Does that make sense? And so Swift is going to face two types of conflicts throughout our story, and he's kind of already faced them. One type of conflict is internal conflict. So the term used is like person versus self. So we kind of have seen Swift have some of those thoughts of like that internal conflict of like not wanting to eat the snake because his dad would be disappointed, but he ends up eating it anyways, you know? And then external conflict is a character or a person versus like their environment or like another thing that's happening around them. So what would be an example of external conflict that he's faced? Liam?
This fight between my brother and me.
No, I mean in the story. But yes, in the story. What kind of external conflict has Swift faced, Musa?
When his father died?
That
would be internal.
That would be like that pain he felt is more internal. Yes, but Sky, what's something like think physical, something that's happened to him physically.
He got hurt.
He got hurt by what?
The elk.
The elk. That's a perfect example. What's another one? Alice.
Maybe when Shark pinned him down, he was like, stop.
Okay, so when he would fight with Shark, what's the big thing that happened, Gretchen?
The fight.
The fight. That is a prime example of an external conflict, right? So his pack got into a fight with another rival pack. So he got into a conflict, struggle, disagreement, all of those good things. All right? Yes, Sky.
When he says he would never call himself Swift ever again, that would be internal, right?
Him struggling with his name.
Because he's slow now, so he says he would never call himself Swift ever again.
Yeah, so he's kind of struggling with the fact that he's not able to run as fast as he used to.
So would that be internal?
Yeah, it would be more internal. So he doesn't want to call himself by his name anymore because he's disappointed that he can't run as fast.
Wander.
All right. We are going to watch a quick segment of a brain. We're not going to watch the whole thing, just like the first 4 minutes of a brain pop, and it's going to kind of dive into more about internal and external and give you some more examples of those and how we can apply those to our story. All right, if you would like to come to the carpet, you may. Yes, Lila.
You couldn't quite say that Swift was tempted. The snake didn't
Yeah.
want to. Yeah.
Exactly, Lila. Good. Love using those vocab words.
sit on the rug.
If you want to sit on the rug, you can. If you don't want to, that's okay too. I have to pull it back up. Thank you for waiting patiently. All right.
Open my
Tough crowd, eh? Well, if you want some feedback, fine. But the thing is, your story was just a recap of your nice day in the park. You had a nice walk, you ate a nice lunch. Where's the drama, man? Dear Nat and Moby, our teacher told us that all good stories have conflict. Why? From Miss Siegel's class. How about that? I was just gonna give Moby the same advice. Stories are all about problems and how characters face them, aka conflict. It's often a challenge faced by the main character or protagonist. Conflict is a big part of what draws us into a story and holds our interest. It drives the action of the plot, the sequence of events. During the rising action, the conflict escalates, testing the protagonist. At the climax, the plot's turning point, the conflict peaks. After that, the story usually winds down to a resolution, when the conflict gets solved. We also get to see how the protagonist has changed from their experiences. There are a few main types of conflict, and
I was working the sports beat for the school paper when I got an anonymous tip. They told me something was fishy about our kickball team's win in the regional championship. They wouldn't say more over the phone, so we met someplace private. They had the goods all right. Photos of a cozy little dinner between our team's captain and the referee. This was a huge story, but did I dare report it out? The captain was my friend. But what about my responsibility to the truth?
oof, poor guy. Tim is dealing with an internal conflict, also known as person versus self, because the struggle to report the story or keep it quiet is going on inside him. Lots of emotions are wrapped up in an internal conflict. Tim's obvious passion for journalism versus his loyalty to a friend. His excitement about breaking a big story versus his care for another person. I can totally relate, so I can't wait to hear what happened. Oops, we missed the resolution.
First, you gotta understand, my sister steals everything from me. My clothes, my school stuff, my snacks. But the day she stole my BFF and my bike, I decided enough is enough. The time had come to kick my sister out of the family.
So, Rita's dealing with an external conflict. It takes place outside of her. It's the person versus person type since, duh, it involves her and another person. Rita's sister is the antagonist, the person pitted against the protagonist. As the sisters duke it out, the tension rises and we wonder who will prevail. Looks like I make myself an antagonist too.
All right. Anyone have an example of maybe an internal conflict that they've dealt with before? So something internally, you and yourself, right? You and yourself. Jayla?
There was this one time when my brother, he had took all my candy from Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm gonna get you. And I'm like, but should I do this?
because it doesn't seem right. Because I was talking to my doctor like back and forth. Like he did this to me, so should I do this back?
Okay.
No, because then that would be wrong, and then I would get in trouble.
So you were struggling with deciding whether you wanted to take vengeance or you wanted to let it go. That's a good example.
And I did take vengeance.
Oh, shows that. All right. What's another example, Lila?
Whether or not to tell my brother, because I love my brother, but I also wanted to tell my parents that he was doing something bad.
Okay, that's a good example. Give me an example of maybe an external conflict. So something between you and another person. Yeah, Dana.
When my sister tried to take my iPad, so I couldn't decide if I should hit her or I should tell her.
Okay, that's a little more internal, but yes, like think like an argument or a fight or something along those lines. Gretchen.
So me and my brother were fighting,
Mhm.
because we kept arguing who was the favorite child, me or him. And then because my dad's normally the one who does favorites,
Uh-huh.
and then we kept arguing, and then my dad came upstairs, and then he yelled at us,
Yeah.
and then we asked who was the favorite, and then he said our dog Blue.
All right, one more example of an external conflict, Liam.
So this actually happened yesterday.
Uh-huh.
My brother and me were fighting over a can of Coke.
Okay.
Because normally my mom says, well, you can just get 2 from the fridge.
Uh-huh.
There's only 1.
Dun dun dun.
We know how that happens. First to draw the gun wins, right? Cowboy do or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So I push him out of the way, kick him, and then grab the Coke and shove it down my mouth.
Perfect. All right. We need to line up to get ready to go to specials. When we come back from specials, we will read chapter 9. All right, and then y'all will do your independent work for the rest of the morning. I mean, that's 10 minutes. All right, so put your stuff up. You guys have art, so you need to have your art sketchbook out and ready to go. Make sure your Wolf Called Wonder book is out and just pushed off to the side. Lila and Sky, what are we doing? Go to your seat, please.
That's what Miss
I just threw away my stuff.
Okay, your snack is still in your hand and you're at Lila's desk.
I'm at
So-
the rest of my
Just say yes, ma'am, and do what she says. All you need to do.
All right. Timo, you may line up whenever you're ready, and then 1 through 10, you may quietly push in your chairs and line up.